It repeatedly occurs that I have a conversation with someone about Sonic the Hedgehog, which prompts me to say that the only Sonic game that I ever owned was the NES version. This is always followed by either confusion or laughter, because Sonic was made by Sega. They would never release a Sonic game on a Nintendo console. Back then, at least. That statement is true. However, this Sonic game was not released by Sega, as it was
a bootleg.
I did not know about this at the time. In fact, looking at the console that I owned back then, it seems to not be original either, unless Konami had released an official NES clone. For years, I had no clue that any of this stuff was not legit. But how is that possible? All the advertisements on television, programs about gaming, video game magazines, with all that exposure, how could I not notice that something was wrong? Well, simply put, all that stuff did not exist where I lived. Allow me to give you guys a little history lesson. I don't like to talk about it, but I actually come from Fartria. Yeah, Stinkestan. Yeah, Poland. While the battle of Nintendo versus Sega was going on, the communist government was overthrown in my country. Poland was free and democratic. But it was not doing well financially. The market was opening to foreign products, but the typical average citizen did not have the money to afford something like a video game console. Hence, all this stuff did not exist. That's when the bootleg consoles came in. Imitations of original products sold for really cheap. Finally, tons of people could afford gaming consoles and play using pirate games, sold on local bazaars. This whole craze was mostly about the NES, so some people figured they could earn a buck by bringing Sonic to the NES. And this is where we get Sonic 3D Blast 5. Funny, I didn't know Sonic 3D Blast had any sequels. By the way, this is how that game looked. Not really 3D, but more of an isometric perspective. So how does the NES version look? Yeah, I figured as much. I jumped to the side and it's really slow. It does not feel right. Why can't I jump over? I feel like the colors really don't work here. All this orange, purple, green. It really does sting the eyes. Ugh. And all that music. These sounds, they're kinda off. Well, the controls feel weird as well. It feels really clunky to move around, and it does take a while until you start running. There is actually one other bootleg NES game that I owned, which did not come out on the NES, and that was Street Fighter 2. I do recall that it was a really poor port, with some characters appearing multiple times just with different color palettes.
Precisely! Precisely!
When I found this game on YouTube, I was hoping to find someone let's play of it, but there were none to be found. I considered recording my own one, but the game has such bad controls, and the level design. Yeah, let's forget about it. Now, I've never played a real 2D Sonic game, so I don't know how accurate it all is, but I can't imagine that dodging projectiles was so hard in those games. Or that when you got hit, only 3 rings would pop out. Or that they would enter walls and be unreachable. We beat the stage! Woohoo! Yeah! Oh, and when you finish a stage, you have to listen to the countdown of all the rings. You cannot speed it up, you cannot skip it or anything. It has to go one by one. What? That dash attack is useless! Yeah. Guess I have to start all over.
Whoa! Hey! Don't touch me!
Way later in time, when the internet became present, I found out about the Super Nintendo, which really did not have a presence here in Poland. My guess is that, well, it was much harder to get pirated games working on it or to bootleg the console itself. So I guess that did not come here. Then the next generation came along and things were very different. Actual video game magazines existed by then, plus the economy improved, making the purchase of a console like the PlayStation much easier. I even seem to recall reading an advertisement for a Sega Saturn in one of my Donald Duck comic books. Things were improving, but pirating games still was an option that many people went for. And before anyone gives me a judgmental glare, not all games that I wanted were sold over here. Threads of Fate, Legend of Mana, Chrono Cross, these never got an official European release. So, of course, nowadays I could use the internet to order them from the US, but back then, I was still young, the internet was a scary and confusing place. I wouldn't know where to order, plus, I did not have any bank account. I could only pay with cash, hence, sorry, but I had to go pirate to play these. Funny thing, the trouble did not end there. See, console games and television sets come in two systems, NTSC and PAL. PAL being the European system, while NTSC is for the rest of the world. NTSC games run a bit faster, but I didn't know at the time. Whatever. Thing is, when you try to play an NTSC game on the PAL television set, unless it's from Sony or a few other brands, the game will be in black and white. To say that it took away some of their charm would be an understatement. This is the reason why for years now I've begun to stick with Sony television sets, just to not risk this happening ever again. Also back then I started to, when I was buying new pirate games, I was trying to pay attention and always ask, is this game in PAL or NTSC? And they would always tell me that it's PAL. And they lied! I can't believe a filthy thief would do such a thing! The PS2 era brought some different problems, but also relating to hard-to-get games. Romancing Saga, for example, also did not get a European release. But by then I was older, had a bank account, and knew how to order games from the US. So I bought myself an original copy, but the game came on a DVD, and DVDs are region locked. So I had to buy a special CD that lets you bypass those security measures. Yes, I needed that in order to play an original game on an original console. Yeah, what times. So in case you've spent your entire life without any of these issues, well, you're probably too young, maybe you're American, or maybe a PC gamer! What's this strange floor? Oh, Robotnik! Boss battle. Ah, and he removes these little blocks, so I guess I have to... what? What? No! Guess I have to try again and reach him.
Pegasus Family Game.
Okay, Robotnik again. I won't lose this time. How come... I don't get it. Either Sonic just jumps really slow and other times... he slips as if everything was made of ice. So, game over. That's it. I've had it. Oh well, as Sonic would put it, the game was no good. Well, I hope my rambling about old video game memories was at least somewhat insightful. There was a lot of negativity here, but I do plan to talk more about some of my old childhood memories with some games in the future, so you'll get to hear those memories in due time. That's it for now, so I'll see you later. Bye!
Don't touch me!